Well, hello and welcome to the Brother Slim. This is Cam, and we are returning back into let's get this out of there. The Deepwood. Bit of a potentially janky recording for this one today. The power's out, and so I figured, why not record a video? However, I didn't realize how much stuff I actually lean on when recording videos for that requires the internet. So, doing a recording with the microphone on the computer and doing a video recording on the phone. Hopefully they'll sync up well. This will be a test and an experiment for sure. So this is chapter 18, No Return. And we're going to be using our The Penitent miniature for this one today. Yes. This guy was a fun time to paint. I'm not going to lie, I think that was just all blurry, but that's okay. He'll be on the map here. Okay, so No Return. Your story begins at 1.1. After the ordeal that was the Blood Maelstrom, you return to Varoom, weary from the long road back. With the north end of the city completely ravaged by the plague, you find the King's Gate has been barred shut and entrance into Varoom is now only permitted from the southern walls. A well-defended series of switchback staircases and hastily assembled ladders offer the only means of scaling the city's towering palisade. Open mystery envelope B, here we go, and we're going to go to location 28. 28, we are in the palace, fantastico. And path A card, cool, and then we've got the 18A thing just there. I don't know if that's actually on the map there or not. We'll pop it up too, right there. You enter the city and are immediately greeted by a delegation of the Inquisition. The head Inquisitor, accompanied by 2 wardens, seizes the witch Aurelia that you've dragged from Thrace. Thank you, Oathsworn, the Inquisitor offers as he motions toward the witch. We'll see to her care until the call to muster in the morning. I would suggest you get whatever rest you can. As night falls, you make your way toward the army camp situated in front of the palace. Every muscle in your body shakes from exhaustion as you navigate through the press of humanity collected in the small area of the city. Looking down at your hands, you can feel the plague writhing inside you, growing stronger with each new day. Increase the number next to plague stage on your free company sheet by 1. Let's take a looky-loo at our plague stage. I think we're 2 at this point. We are number 3 at this stage. Ruh-roh. There's a pencil. Plague stage 3. What does it mean? If you're already at 3... Okay, no, we're not already at 3, so now we're at 3. And so if you have the Kinsman, and if you do not have Kinsman... We do not have Kinsmen. So, 1.18 we go to. Alright, 1.18. You return to the army camp set up on the square in front of the palace. It is growing ever larger with those who are displaced. You find the tent your companions have taken up as the site of the new Broken Oak, version 3.0, tent tavern. Nothing remains of the old, but the tavern's half-charred sign and its remaining patrons. Greycane, Midge, and Bram beam as you enter the tent. Any lingering feelings about your abandonment north of the river have been set aside as you see hope fill their eyes. Bram brings you a drink, and you are relieved to have made it back as you unsling your packs and fall into your seats. You see your own relief magnified on the faces of those around you as they watch. That relief comes with great expectations as you can feel the weight of the city's hopes being placed squarely upon your shoulders. Choose the first applicable option. If you have the Lycian ally, that's what we're going to do because that is the first one. Otherwise, there's a Finian ally and then just a otherwise. So, Lycian, turn to 138. 1.38. Even as you enter the tent bearing the charred sign of the Broken Oak, Lycian goes to work on you, getting her satchel of herbs out. You try to wave her away, but she insists on treating you. You do not know where she gets the strength. She's been on the same trip as you. All Oathsworn place all injury cards except the plague card, and 1 more card of their choice back in the injury deck, and shuffle the injury deck. If you have the Alana keyword... Okay, I don't think we have the Alana keyword. We got Lena. Okay, so we do not, so 1.10. Yeah, I like Lysine. I'm really glad that we didn't sacrifice her earlier. Easing into your drinks, you study Grey Cane across the tent. He had been Oathsworn himself once. The last survivor of his free company, he had earned a second chance at a normal life and he had taken it. The grin on his face says he made the right choice. You begin to wonder what life would be like with a second chance, but cast off the notion. Such a thing would only come with the deaths of all those that sit around you, and the plague makes your own death a near certainty. Knowing Grey Cane lost his free company, as well as the horrors he must have endured, makes his grin all the more valuable. To smile in the face of all that suffering is worthy of respect. I feel like that's the first time we're hearing of that, and that might be something that could have shown up in various event decks that we haven't been playing with for a long time at least, and we only got a few when we were actually playing the game, so that could be it. Otherwise, because it seems like that's the first we've heard of it, and it's introduced as if we know it. Raising a mug to the man, he nods back, lifts his lute to his lap, and plucks out an encouraging tune. The old instrument has lost a string since you last saw it, but like its owner, it is still capable of lifting the mood. Setting your heads together, you begin to mentally prepare yourself for what's to come. The muster is tomorrow, and you know the time is here. The crusade into the Deepwood, your path to the heart of darkness, and the keening. With a hot meal inside you, and with Bram drying your travel gear by an amber fire, you retire for the night. Turn to 1.21. Dreams of our dead friend, perhaps, forthcoming. Let's see. 1.21. Oh, okay, you wake up some. You wake up to the sound of clanking of metal on metal, armor being fastened and wagons being loaded. The muster outside is starting. You were told the army will consist of 300 soldiers of a room, the largest crusade sent out into the Deepwood for quite some time. Most of the soldiers have never been outside the city walls, and the powers that be look to you, the heroes of Bastogne, to lead them. Today you will take 300 souls into the green, knowing none are likely to return. You have no choice, however. The plague is at the door, and Varum cannot hold much longer. It falls to you to keep morale high enough to hold the army together until you reach the heart of darkness. Place a tracker die in the center of play, showing 5. This is the morale of your squad. Alright, let's crack this open. Put that just right there for now, and we shall move it around if need be. You emerge from your section of the tents into what is now the tap room of the 3rd iteration of the Broken Oak. There you see Midge waiting for you, a helmet on his head and a short sword at his side. He looks up at you, his ever-present smirk crooked up from one side of his mouth. I'm ready, he says hopefully. Now before you say anything, hear me out. Here's 3 reasons you should let me come. 1, you're going to need all the hands you can get. 2, I've been in the green before, and I survived, I might add. 3, Grey Cane has been teaching me how to knife fight. And 4, I need to help. Need to make a difference. You tell him that is 4 reasons, and he simply replies, all the more reason to let me come. You had thought he would remain behind with Grey Cane and Bram, but the determination on Midge's face makes his opinion on that course of action clear. Oh, do we bring the kid with us, or do we not? I think we do, because we respect the heck out of Midge, and we let him down by not coming to use it before, and who knows, maybe the safest place is with us. Okay, tell Midge he can come. Turn to 1.15. Midge has grown these last 3 months. He kept his nerve in Bastogne and in the Deepwood after, and much like Grey Cane, he managed to keep a smile about him. You find you cannot deny the young man in this. You tell Midge that you will welcome him into the company, but that he is going to need to stay close to you. You do not want him serving with the rest of the soldiers somewhere you cannot keep an eye on him. Gain a morale, so we go up to 6. If you have the mute boy ally, I don't think we have a mute boy. So in that case, we go to 1.28. That's one really cool thing with this game is like how often the ally cards will affect the story in very small ways. And I think they do add to the Deepwood and City event decks too. In fact, I know that they do. He rejoices at the news and begins to swing his sword in wild practice swings. Grey Cane raises a hand. Whoa, save it for the monsters, lad. You're going to cut us a new window swinging it like that. Sheepishly, Midge sheathes his sword with a smile, running outside. Write the keyword Midge on your free company sheet. Will do. There we go. We have Midge. Turn to 1.14. As the boy leaves, you make your way to the bar to where Grey Cane and Bram conspiratorially await. As you approach, they reveal steaming plates of sausages, eggs, yams, and soft bread alongside an assortment of side dishes from beneath the bar top. Hearty breakfast smells fill your nostrils and your stomachs rumble. A going away present, Bram says. The best of a room has to offer. For the best of a room has to offer. For the best of a room has to offer. He says, extending a hand towards the food and then towards you. Kind of awkward phrasing to read, but makes sense in a social setting for sure. Great Cane offers. Using offer 3 times there is a little much, methinks. If you don't ask what's in the sausages, you'll have a lovely meal. Nice. But his jest is half-hearted. You all know the truth of the situation. This meal is their way of saying goodbye, and this time is not like any of the others. This goodbye is a true farewell. Even if you succeed, you have no idea what will happen, nor whether you will ever make it back. After the best breakfast you've had in as long as you can remember, you survey those gathered inside the tent. Many are your allies, sitting at their tables, still finishing their own plates. While you wait, you look to the tent flap. The muster awaits just beyond, as does your responsibility. Okay, we don't have the Alana keyword, so we're going to turn to 1.3. I wonder if this would be the king dying. The army and the king are waiting outside. You know that you are expected to stand before them on the dais before the palace and deliver a speech to raise their spirits and to prepare the soldiers for the march ahead. As the commanders of the army, it would be expected. On the other hand, you could have one last drink with your allies to reinforce the bonds of fellowship with those closest to you. After all, these are the folks you've trusted. These are the folks you've trusted with your life, and they have done the same with you. This might be your last opportunity to enjoy a bit of shelter and peace. You know what? We let our allies down before. Well, we chose to help other people instead of our allies because we thought our allies were in good hands and that made them sad. So let's share a last drink with our allies here. Let's do it. 1.31. Spending time with your allies seems to be the best course of action. After all, these are the men and women who will be with you to the very end, regardless of the foes you face. These are the companions who stood by you no matter the danger, and all deserve one last moment together before delving into the darkness deeper than any even you have known. Drinks are poured and stories told. Memories are recalled, somehow growing grander in the retelling than they were in the living, as the way stories often are. Laughter is shared, and just for a moment, the tent possesses a light of its own to ward off the darkness. For just a small shard of time, the battle seemed to be a thing of the past rather than the imminent future. Gain a free company trait of your choice. Lose 1 morale. I guess that's because the army itself is not stoked that we didn't say some encouraging words for them. That's done 5. Getting a free company trait is pretty awesome. If you have the Steet ally, Steet, you know what? I don't know, so we're going to say no, that's not familiar. 1.4. You emerge from the tent of the Broken Oak to see the army outside. They stand on the mustering ground in front of the palace, and all 300 soldiers. Men and women in polished chainmail and iron helms stand in squads, spears at their side. A few trembling hands tell you they may have benefited from a boost in morale, but they are soldiers of a room. They will do their job, and there is no more time for speeches. At the rear of the muster, final preparations are beginning on the wagons, and it is only a matter of time before you push toward the King's Gate. Having seen the army, you prepare to talk to the captains. If you have the Betrayed keywords, turn to 1.24. Betrayed. I don't think we have Betrayed. No, we do not. So 1.50. Okay, 1.15. In the crowd off in the distance, you see the witches being led to the front of the column. The jeers from the crowd clearly show their contempt for anyone tainted with malefic powers. There are 3 of them, a pair of siblings, a man and a woman, brought in by another free company from Cistercia, and the young witch you've brought from Thrace, still in delirium from the Aether. Patting the satchel at your side, you make sure you still have the precious vials that will keep her under for the journey. Together with the witches, 3 wardens accompanying them, sent directly from Blackrock. It is their task to keep the witches under control and to make sure they arrive for their final duty. If you have the snitch keyword, which we do not, so we're going to turn to 1.32. With the witches secured to their wardens at the front of the column, you head for the command tent where the captains are ready for a last briefing. The massive ornate tent is not hard to find, and upon entering are faced with a group of captains hunched around a table with a large leather map. All are huddled at one end of the table, with the other being manned by a single figure, a watcher. Clad in a deep black cloak, its face hidden within the shadow of its cowl, the watcher's visage is off-putting at best. You can understand why the captains chose to give the creature a wide berth. With a salute from the assembled captains, you approach the table and study the map. Excuse me? You have never seen such a complete map before. There is Varum, Sestercia, Thrace, Bastogne now in ruin, as well as several other cities you have never visited, including Anvar and a massive city only marked with an X. Interesting. Maybe some future places to visit in a future game, perhaps? For the next half a bell, you discuss your plan. Your destination is Raven's Reach, an ancient fortress that is within striking distance of the Heart of Darkness. It is your best hope for performing the keening while mounting resistance against the Deepwood. Should all go to plan, the innumerable creatures that you witness circling the Heart of Darkness will be drawn to Raven's Reach. So clearly something to do with the Watchers and stuff, because if Raven Spire is their tower in the city here, allowing the survivors to gain entry and finding a cure for the plague. The Dendry had not said what form the cure would take, but they were certain the solution lies within the cave. Raven's Reach is many days' march from Varum, but taking the Wire Road will get you at least some of the way. After that, you'll be relying on a compass and known landmarks. It appears halfway between the end of the Wire and Raven's Reach is an old Free Company way station known as the Salt Tower. It is defensible and has stood the test of time. It will be a good place to end the first leg of your journey. From there, it is on to Raven's Reach. As you trace the path with your finger, you come to a massive city marked with an X on the map. It had a name once, but it has since been burnt out. We could travel through the city to cut down on our travel time, one captain suggests. Do not enter the city, a rasping voice utters, emanating from within the Watcher's cowl. All eyes turn to the black figure. It is forbidden. You know better than to question a Watcher. Whatever its reasons, the tone demands submission, a command which all assembled are only too ready to acquiesce to. It seems you will be going the long way around the city. The briefing continues for a short time. Then, as the briefing ends, you can feel the Watcher's eye linger on you and the black spots on your arms. Your affliction grows, it rasps. With these words, it produces a bottle of greenish liquid, similar to the one that healed you earlier. Paracia, to give you more time. The last time you'd been given the concoction, you'd been told it was the only one. It seems that had not been entirely true. You say as much to the Watcher, and its reply sends a shiver down your spine. Had you failed to retrieve the witch, it would have been true. Apparently, you are still useful enough to keep alive. Interesting. As you leave the tent, one of your captains approaches you. My lord, I couldn't avoid overhearing. You got an antidote for the plague. I would not ask, but it's my daughters, you see. They have been afflicted. They are hidden and do not have much time. What you hold can save them. I know it's much to ask, but would you allow me to give it to them? I mean, there's so many people that are dealing with the plague. This is cold as heck, but I don't think we're going to give it to them. We're going to take it ourselves because we are currently in a really dark place and we are working for the greater good at this point. So 1.5. But I respect you gotta ask. 1.5. Feels very cold-hearted, but I feel like it's the right choice given the world and the situation. You know it is harsh, but your life is more important than this man's daughters. You deny him and take the Paracia for yourself. We get to decrease our plague stage back down to 2. That is something. You were concerned that by his own admission, he hides plague victims inside of the quarantine zone. On the one hand, you cannot risk the plague breaking out here as well, but on the other hand, the man would need to be interrogated, which may cause dissent among the troops. We're going to keep quiet for now. We are leaving, and we got a bunch of the things to deal with. So 1.48. You decide not to turn the man in. You know they will perish soon anyway, and arresting a captain before departure is a bad idea. I turn to 1.2. With the briefing over, you have one more task to perform. Moving to where the wagons are being prepared, you take the stock of the inventory. Some of the wagons have already been loaded, but you are asked to bring in your expertise for the rest. Supplies will be important, required to last until Raven's Reach. The Raven Spire has also thrown in a number of amber bombs that may be taken to aid in repelling assaults from the Deepwood. Finally, on a journey such as this, morale will be an issue, so bringing some barrels of ale could help later down the line. As the commanders of the army, the final decision on the loadout is up to you. Take 7 might cubes of any color. 7 might cubes of any color, that's fun. Okay, 2, 4, 6, and 7. So we got our 7 might cubes. I should just put these up there. Morale there. 2 tracker tokens of any number. Let's go 1 and 2. The last wagons can be loaded with the 8 items. Those represent amber bombs. Okay. So we have 8 items. Choose what to load on the wagons. You may pick the same item multiple times, up to the specified amount, if any. 8 of the following. 1 supply, maximum 5, represented by a might cube. One barrel of ale. For every 2 barrels of ale, gain a morale. And the ale is... okay. Well, we are definitely going to bring a ale. Don't worry about the curative. Okay, well, this is actually pretty complex. There's a lot of things going on here. Let's take a throw read here. So, item card, we're not worried about that. Equipment, we're not worried about that. Curative, we're also not worried about that. With the wagon sets in the army range behind you, it's finally time to move out. Place 3 unused hit point dice nearby. Set each of them to 6. These 18 pips represent the 18 squads in your army. Okay. So let's just put that one off to the side there, and then we'll put these ones up here. We are going to raise this up by taking a barrel. We'll take those 2 bombs, and then we'll take just the rest of it being supplies. Yeah, so that is pretty straightforward. So we'll put these things back. Didn't really need to get those out after all, but that's okay. And we got 2 bombs. Fun, fun, fun. Okay, turn to 1.8. With a nod to the bannermen, the horns blow loud and clear above the column, and the banners are raised. The crusade to the Dark Heart begins. As you proceed through the south of the city, the streets are lined with huge crowds of people. It is as though the whole city has come to see you off. Children cry as they desperately cling to the arms of soldiers marching out. Both men and women shout encouragement to the soldiers passing by. Reaching the great bridges that span the dried-up riverbed that divides north from south, you see a new crowd arrayed before you, the infected, hundreds deep and shambling on the far side of the river. As you had planned, the barricades are moved aside, and a small squad armed with amber bombs charges through the gap and starts to lay down a tunnel of fire through the plague districts toward the King's Gate. This will not last long, so the procession moves at a double march through the tunnel of fire, eventually reaching Varum's Gate. Archive the Varum city map. Leave the time track where it is. Okay. So realistically, that map was not needed for this at all, but that's okay. It's always fun having the maps out, especially when we haven't been to for a while. We'll put those up there. I'll put those up there too. There we go. I'll put this, I can just go there for now. Beyond the gate, your army forms up as best as it is able, crowding around the walls. Many of these men and women have never been in the Deepwood before, and it looms like an ever-present darkness that chills the air until their breath can fog midday. You were used to it, but some of the soldiers touch the wall behind them with a hand tentative to let go, lest they become lost. The only way to get this army forward is to lead. Without pause, you march into the Deepwood at the head of a column. You do not look back, confident that the soldiers will follow. Judging from the sound, they do. Traveling the wire road in such numbers is wrought with danger, and it is not long before smaller attacks begin happening along the line. The things the soldiers are seeing are terrifying them, but they keep them back with spear lines and arrows. In the hopes of keeping the army spirits up, one of the bannermen begins a marching song, and the tune is quickly picked up by some of the surrounding squads, eager for distraction from what lurks within the trees. It is here that you are faced with your first command decision. You know that the song will lift the spirits of the soldiers, but could at the same time draw nearby creatures. We're going to command them to stop singing for now because we are totally topped up at morale. So 1.33. You cut off the song with a word and march on. The only sound ringing the Deepwood are the clinks of metal armor and muffled conversation. You cannot risk making more noise than necessary, as you know the Deepwood will react stronger and stronger to your presence. Inevitably, the silence is broken by the Deepwood as screeching emits from the underbrush and packs of multi-limbed scrabblers charge the line. Okay, turn to 1.12. Compared to the smaller skirmishes the army had before, this was already a larger attack. It has served a purpose, though. This first day in Deepwood has taught the soldiers to stay alert and given them an all too clear knowledge of what they are facing. Turn to 1.47. Alrighty, here we go. Place a time token on the time track. Yes. Jolly G Willikers. There we go. Days pass and the cycle of attack and defend continues. Eventually, you come to the end of the wire road and the time comes to leave the guiding line behind. Being strung up along the wire road left you not much choice in terms of army configuration, but off it now, you need to decide how spread out your line should be as you proceed. A long, narrow line will mean that you make less noise, hopefully attracting fewer creatures. But on the other hand, if you concentrate your troops, you'll have more strength for when the inevitable attack comes. Organize the army into a long, narrow line. Organize the army into a short, broad line. I think short and broad. Let's do that. 1.37. You tell your captains to convey the order. It takes some time to organize the troops, but ultimately you think it is the right choice. Write the keyword thick formation on your free company sheet. Yes, sir. Thick formation it is. There we go. Thick formation. Turn to 1.29. I feel like this is a very long one because we're like just getting into things now. I understand why it's a long one though too, because we are technically in the end game here, so it was a good send-off. But yeah, long send-off / intro to this one. While the army was forming up, you sent out scouts to survey your surroundings, and they've come back with reports of 2 paths being open to you. Pulling out your compass, you check your heading. You know the Salt Tower lies some way to the south, but it appears only an east or west path is immediately open to you. The one to the west is denser and may take more time. To the east, one soldier from the scouting party was attacked by something, and many more strange plants were seen by the soldiers. Many more strange plants. We don't love that. Okay, so my nemesis for this game, which is a really cool mechanic, but I've just struggled with it, is Z. No, Z, not N. Which is the exploration kind of phase mechanic. And I've just done it wrong often. But that's okay. It is really cool. Okay, so we'll put those ones aside there. And let's just put us right in the middle here. So we can go that way, and then that way is blocked off. So actually with that in mind, we should probably, let's maybe put that up there for now. And then we'll tuck this back here. Technically speaking, I guess we should leave that one there. Okay, so we've got denser or less dense, but more creepy plants, hey? Denser and may take more time. To the east. Let's go west. Let's go to the west. So let's do that. West is 16.1. So we are going to scoot to the west and move up to 16.1. Okay, so 16.1. We cannot go north. Oh, we're trying to go south, actually, aren't we? Yes, we are trying to go south. So let me just reorganize this then. There we go. Okay. You know what? Let's do a bit of a wide berth here, and let's continue. Ooh, actually, hang on. As your day march progresses, the Deepwood begins to open up, and you're presented with new options for which way to go. You could risk some soldiers to scout ahead to help discern the safest route, or you could stick together and commit to a path. Let's stick together and commit to a path. Choose a direction to go in. So we want to go south, but let's head east a little bit, or west a little bit more first. So 31.3. 31.3. Wait a minute, is that correct? 33.1. Okay, 33.1, there we go. And we are going to start heading south now. South, let's scoot on down, and south is 39.1. Choose a direction to go in. South is the way we want, so that sounds good to me. South we go. 20.1. Okay. I mean, I think we just keep going south at this point. Another long march under your belt, and the Deepwood once again begins to open up before you. The south appears clearer, and also a path to the west presents a possible direction. Scouts could be sent in both directions to confirm. Well, we've got a good track going south. I think let's keep doing it. And we haven't needed scouts yet. So, you know what? Let's do we want to use scouts this time? Let's do it. Let's try using the scouts because we haven't used it yet, and want to see what it does. So in that case, 20.2. Roll an unused hit point die and apply the following results. Okay. 3. Nothing happens. The scouts return safely. Fun. The scouts you sent to the west return with strange news. They say they saw symbols carved into some trees. As they describe them to you, you realize they may be describing glyphs from another free company. The squad to the south tells you the way is clear. Oh, this is cool. So I'm going to use more scouts because rolling dice is fun. Another free company is very interesting. Oof. I mean, like... Oh, let's check out that free company. Let's go. West, 25.1. 25.1. There we go. So we cannot go north as expected from the previous thing, and we can go south, which is good. 25.1. Among the winding Deepwood trees, you find symbols carved into the bark. Old free company symbols. The Deepwood being as it is impossible for paths to last, but Oathsworn found long ago that carvings on the trees themselves lasted the longest. You have no idea how long it's been since a free company left this sign, but you know it is a marker to something once held important. After spending half a battle looking for the next clue, you begin to wonder if perhaps this was a forgotten trail. Okay, 25.3. You find a second symbol, and then a third. Following the trail, you eventually come to a cairn of stones. Moving the rocks, you find a body and a cache of equipment. You have no doubt the remains had once belonged to one of your kin. After giving the proper respects, you search the remains for anything of use. Any member of a free company would expect no less. Take the unique item deck for chapter 11, 12, and 13. You gain any 2 items from those. Oh, that's really neat. I like that a lot. So it's a way to get any interesting items that you missed, or, yeah, specifically the choose. That is nice. Me likey. Me likey for sure. Okay, well, let's try going south. 23.1. Okay, so we scoot down. We cannot go west, which is fine by me. And we can go south, so that is good, although we are probably getting off the map at this point. So we already were kind of off the map, but that's okay. Once again, I can't really see what's on the screen just with the kind of janky setup I've got going today, but that's all right. 23.1. Choose a direction to go in. We are going to go south to 31.1. Oh, bugger. Okay, 31.1. So we cannot go any further south. We cannot go to the west. We need to go to the east, just like 5-0. Okay, so east, 38.1. There we go. 38.1. Once more, we cannot go south, but we can go east, so let's do it. East we go, 14.1. And let's just scoot this up over that way. Okay, 14.1. We have an all clear, which is pretty neat. There we go. So we're going to go south for sure. Draw and resolve the Deepwood event cards. If you would lose or gain rations, gain or lose supplies instead. Very cool. So south we go, 36.1. There we go. Okay, so there's no way we're going to backtrack a huge amount. So let's just take some stuff off the board here and do some adjustments. We'll just stack that over that way. There we go, and we can scoot that back over there. Perfect. Okay, south. So that would be like that. And like that, so 20.1. Okay, 20.1. So we can't go that way, but we can go the other ways. Very nice. Another long march on your belt, and the Deepwood once again opens up before you. Okay, decided to do an extended cut there because I took a wrong turn through the book and ended up backtracking. I've done this way too many times in this game. I don't know if part of it's recording. Like, I feel like this is a very low stress recording kind of thing, which doesn't really require any attention being shifted in multiple directions. But yeah, I messes up way too many times. It's ludicrous. Okay, so 18.1. The path widens into an area where the tree cover is thinner. You can see the sky through the branches, a sight none of you have seen for days. You overhear soldiers commenting on it with a mix of wistfulness, exhilaration, and exhaustion. By your calculations, you think that you are nearing the Salt Tower, though you could send out scouts to confirm this. Let's send out scouts. Turn to 18.2. Roll a dice once again, and we're looking for a 3-up. Awesome, 3-up. Nothing happens. The scouts return safely. The scouts you send return with information. Those sent to the south tell you they came out on the top of a cliff and got a glimpse of the Salt Tower, some ways off to the southeast. Unfortunately, the cliff face is unscalable, and you'll have to go around to the east. The scouts report a large, marshy area, but it looks traversable. All right, to the east we go. Let's do it. Southeast. Oh, east and then south later. 17.1. Okay, well, we shall keep going east, it looks like. 17.1. The rain falls on soft soil, quickly forming puddles and rivers of mud. If you have thin formation, which we don't, so we're going to do 17.6. With no other way forward, you are forced to trudge through the mud. It is not long before the first wagon gets stuck, resulting in mass confusion and a great deal of shouting. Okay, 17.2. Takes quite a bit of effort and a fair amount of grunting, but you succeed in pulling the wagon through the muddy swamp out the other side. Choose a direction to go in. North, east, and west. Well, we're going to keep going east here, so we'll scoot forward that way. And east is 44.1. Okay, we are still going east. This is quite the escarpment we're trying to get by here. Alright, so east we go once more, 17.1. We lost an arm! The Penitent was one of the, for this first campaign at least, had a couple loose joints on the fit together. It's not terrible, but it is a little bit loose. Okay, 44.1, turning into 17.1. Okay, so we still cannot go south. My goodness. Okay, wow. Wait a minute. I am once again confusing things and I'm lost. Oh my goodness. Okay, 17.6. Succeed, 17.2. 44.1. Oh, that's because I went the wrong way. East, 46.1. There we go. Yeah, that was my bad. I went the wrong way again. The day's marching is long, and the rain has become a constant companion now, and the mood of the army is grim. Rain runs off waxed cloaks and wagon canvas in rivulets, and the ground is churned to mud beneath your boots. Keeping watch under such conditions is difficult, but you need a little visibility to sense the next horror you must face. As you trudge through the rain, the ground begins to quake. One of the soldiers behind you shouts and points at what looks like a river of mud heading in your direction. Another worm. This time, bigger. Much bigger. Okay, we do have Midge on our free company sheet. Oh, if Midge dies here, I'm going to be very upset. 46.5. Midge has been handling himself well these last days, and you are not surprised when he rushes to your side to help. Smiling up at you, he hands over something from his pack. It's another amber bomb. He says he found it back in Varoom, and thought it might come in handy. For the first time, you find yourself not chiding the boy for his sticky fingers. Gain 1 amber bomb token. Cool. Turn to 46.4. The colossal mound of earth is almost upon you. Shouting to retreat the witches to safety, you prepare yourselves. Some dozen paces from the line, a great explosion of earth reveals an enormous eyeless fiend. You have faced worms before, but nothing like this. This thing is ancient. The usually pink skin is replaced by thick black hide covered in moss, and great gnarled tusks that extend from its gaping maw. Whether it was the rain or the noise of your army that drew this thing from the deep, you do not know. All you do know is this. This fight will be different. Okay, cool. Well, we do have at least 1 amber bomb, so we're going to throw it at the worm. Turn to 46.2. Lose an amber bomb. Taking one of the treasured artifacts, you hurl it at the beast. It explodes in a shower of light when it strikes the monster's flanks. Great chunks of hide are burnt away, but the beast still advances, its thick skin absorbing much of the explosion. As the fire recedes, the worm gains ground. You order the bowman to loose, and the arrows ping off the leathery underbelly of the ancient worm. Shouting for spearmen to form ranks, you hope the top side of the thing is less well armored. Undeterred by your bowman, it crashes down among you and the battle begins. Using the amber bomb has weakened the worm. Perform a round of combat against defense 11. If you have thick formation, which we do, add 2 to each result. That's cool. The thick hide splits as you hammer away at it again and again. Finally, gouging a rent deep enough, You plunge your weapon into the worm's flank and are rewarded by a great shredder from the beast. Writhing over itself, you jump back as the worm burrows underground. Moments later, you can feel the tremors in the earth as it retreats. For now, at least. Oh, cool, I like that. So we're going to have to face off against this thing at the end of this journey, but we haven't made it to the end yet. And we are definitely going to go south. 28.1. Okay, 28.1. South we go. Let's do it. 42.1, which is once again at the very bottom of the map here. .1. Okay, so we cannot go to the east and we cannot go south, but we do need to, once again, let's just pile this up and then we'll deal with it later. Let's go up to there, to there. There we go. And so, like that. We're probably gonna have to move this again, but maybe not, we'll see. Draw and resolve Deepwood card. The never-ending sea of trees forms a tunnel that makes you feel like you're being herded. The army is on edge too, a fact not aided by the sign of worm trails among the trees. Huge holes appear in the earth, and trees have been pushed aside where the great beasts have slithered out of the ground. Why the worms are thicker here you cannot tell, but you know the big one is still out there somewhere. Faint vibrations have you picking up the pace as you urge the army on. The salt tower must be close now. We're going to go west, 35.1. Okay, so west. Okay. The path continues west. Despite the feeling of vibrations and the signs of worm trails around you, the day's march is quiet. Afternoon turns to evening, and eventually the sun goes down to reveal the three sisters and the inky blackness of the void. The light of the moon has waned during your travels, and visibility under the canopy is getting worse. If you have the week watch on your free company sheet, turn to something. We do not, so 35.3. As you lay down to rest, you look up at the void, and it feels its empty nothingness haunting you. You've always preferred having clouds to look into rather than that abyss, its inky blackness, totally devoid of hope. Oh, interesting. So I think this is the first I've heard of this. Is the night starless? That's what it seems to be saying. Void is capitalized too. Turning over, you put your ear to the ground and try to sleep. Before you can close your eyes, a shout echoes through the night. Worm! Scrambling to your feet, you retrieve your weapons. Strangely, you feel no vibrations. Heading in the direction of the voice, you find the soldier responsible and demand an explanation. It was there. I saw the soil rise and then it was gone. Looking out into the darkness, you do not see anything. You begin to ask if the soldier could have been mistaken, but then you feel it. The vibrations are back and intensifying quickly. You shout for the soldiers to wake, and most are on their feet when a great mouth erupts from beneath one of the wagons. The warning of the soldier had been the only thing that had saved the squad sleeping against the wagon. As they dive out of the way, the wagon lifts into the air in an explosion of dirt and tusks. Clamping down on the frame, the worm clenches its jaws, and the wagon bursts in splinters of wood and canvas. Lose a might cube. As the head of the worm extends from the earth, you note the wounds on its black hide, somehow already scarred over. This ancient worm is the same one you drove off before, and what you feared has come to pass. The worm's attacks had not been random or bound to the territory of the Deepwood. This worm is hunting you. ... This leaves you with one choice. Only if you have one amber bomb. Throw an amber bomb at it. Oh, I don't know if we want to draw your weapons and charge. I think it's going to be your action here. 235.5. Gripping your weapons tightly, you let loose a battle cry and charge into combat. As you attack, you know its underbelly is too thick for your weapons. Concentrating all your efforts on the flanks of the beast, you strike again and again until your weapons dig deep. The creature howls in pain, and its head whips around in blind rage, throwing you backward. Several soldiers are crushed in the chaos, and judging from the rumbling of the ground, the beast's shudders extend the lengths of his body. By the time you're able to get your footing, the beast's head withdraws back underground, the tremors growing fainter once more. Shaken, the soldiers fearfully look at the earth. Needless to say, a few of them will not get much sleep tonight. Lose 1 morale, going down to 5. As for yourself, you learned to sleep under such dangers long ago. Lying down once more, you close your eyes and enter a dreamless sleep as empty as the void. Okay, well, we gotta go west. 47.1. Hope begins to blossom in the army. At first, you only catch glimpses of it between the trees, but as the tunnel snakes around to the west and the woods begin to open into a clearing, across the expanse you can see a lone tower standing at its center, ringed by high white walls. A cheer goes up from the line. You have finally reached the Salt Tower. Gain a morale, back up to 6. Yes, sir. Standing high above the trees, it is a sight to behold. A shard of civilization jutting up from amid the chaotic sea of trees. Within a dozen paces of the Salt Tower's walls, nothing grows. The salt infused into the stone and earth there, holding it at bay. Even the monsters have given it a wide berth, and no sign of tooth or claw mars the structure's defenses. Although it has stood for centuries, it still looks strong and sturdy, and you will be grateful to be inside the walls. At last, you have reached some measure of safety in the midpoint on your journey to the heart of darkness. As if mocking your thoughts of safety, the ground around you begins to rumble. You do not know whether it is a coincidence or somehow the mindless worms sensing your escape. Whatever the case, it is coming for you and coming fast. You bellow for your soldiers to run to the sanctuary of the tower, if you can only reach it. It is not long before this feeble hope is crushed and tossed aside. The ancient worm erupts out of the ground at the front of your line, sending you hurtling through the air and landing on your back. The force of the impact drives the wind from your body, and you wince as you force yourself to your feet, struggling to breathe. But there is no time to recover. The worm charges the line, ripping through the soldiers, tossing them aside like chaff. If you have Midge on your freak up sheet, which we do, please don't die, Midge. 47.5. You look around for Midge and find him where you feared. Most of the line is behind you, but the vanguard of your army is in the thick of it. Standing bravely, sword swinging, Midge is with them right at the midst of the worm's attack. You must save him. If you have 4 or less morale, which we have more than that, which is good. I think this should be hopefully good. Otherwise, turn to 47.3. Okay. Looking over your shoulders, you see the army holding its ground. This beast has hounded them for days, and it follows many of their nightmares. Yet they are ready to fight it, their morale holding strong. Ordering the closest squad to engage the worm, the men and women rush forward, spears low. The worm senses the oncoming targets and wheels around to face them. As it plows into the squad, you move to its flanks. Turn to 47.4. With a battle cry, you charge the beast, hoping to get its attention. If you can keep it away from the vanguard, you may be able to reach the walls while you face off against the massive beast. From there, they can lay down fire on the worm's exposed topside and add to the damage you will inflict. Also, the more you save, the higher the chances of saving Midge. Write the keyword Amber Bombs on your free company sheet and record the amount of Amber Bombs you have next to it. So we've got 2. Okay, so let's do Amber Bomb 2. And next up, Squad X3 at 6. And morale is 6. So that went really well. And so we're not going to bother opening the chest because we've already opened this one before. Check out, I think it's chapter 2 or 3 in the playthrough video, and skip to the end and you can see it there. But we do have special, unique encounter stuff. So let's take a looky-loo at that. First things first is the worm card here with the pretty big updates. Very cool. Feel free to pause if you want to read the abilities. And then we have ancient worm related gear cards. So let's take a peek and see what we have here. Blade of the Ancient Kings, 2-handed sword. It's like a stone blade. That's pretty sick. After damage is drawn against you, gain armor. Oh, cool. I like that. That would have been wicked for the blade character. Wormtail. It's poison stinger. Decker targets all characters within range 2. Ignore the highest Ignore the highest might card drawn. Interesting. So I guess it's meant for taking out lots of little guys. The Reaper. Okay, all these are really cool. Wow, it's got a cone attack. Targets at range 2 are treated as having 1 less armor. Ancient Wormhide. 5 armor for a medium armor wearing fellow. Ignore knockback. That's pretty sweet. Windrush is a cool bow. I feel like gear cards are getting more complicated now, which is neat. Yeah, very cool. So also good use of reusing a monster in a fun way and having it an updated ancient variety. Me likey that. And then, yeah, let's dive into the epilogue here. Start reading at epilogue 1. With a great judder, the ancient worm's head collapses through a tree and lies still. After days of skirmishes with the creature, it's finally dead. You will never know why it did not retreat in the last encounter. It was as though it would willingly lose its own life to stop you reaching your destination. Okay, so let's just roll a dice here. 5, and say that we have lost some squad. Okay, -3. As the dust settles, your mind turns to Midge. You had lost sight of him in the chaos of combat, and you can only hope he had been one of those to survive the encounter. Okay, so 6 or more soldiers survived, so yes, turn to epilogue 2. As the rest of the army marches into the protective embrace of the Salt Tower, you go ahead in search of Midge. Turn to epilogue 4. To your relief, you find the boy among those within the walls. You realize he is not a boy anymore, though. After all he's been through, standing firm by his choices, the term boy no longer fits him. He has outgrown it, and Midge has become a man before your eyes. Telling him so, and how well he did, he smiles from ear to ear. His survival is a small victory, the kind that keeps hope alive out here in the green. Instructing the army to rest, you know you will need all the hope you can get on your way to Raven's Reach, and then the Heart of Darkness. Cool, and we do have 6 or more, so this would let us do the extra unique item, which is cool. So it does say if you do not have Midge, turn to epilogue 5. What is epilogue 5? Oh, interesting. So Midge comes either way. However, if 6 or more people died, he would have died. Yeah. Oh, that's very sad. It looks like a well-written tale, though, but sad times for sure. But that is not the case for our Midge. Joy. Joy indeed. And then next chapter, Shadows of the Past, we shall do next time, hopefully with a slightly less janky camera setup, but I mean, not like this is a good setup to begin with anyway for these Oathsworn videos. It's just a fun personal hobby read-through, and anyone else can enjoy them too. But yeah, thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time. Take care. Bye!